Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is my favorite tournament. I don't want to say of the year because it's not every year. The FIDE World Cup. I love this tournament so much. I've got 5 amazing games to show you. We've got someone getting checkmated in less than 20 moves. We've got someone busting out brilliant moves like it was going out of fashion. We've got the only woman in the section. We've got the only South African in the section because I'm biased. And we've got the youngest player in the section, 12 years old. Faustino, the Messi of chess. All of these guys, Yagiz Erdogmus, Salem Saleh, all of these guys busting off round 1. Lots of top players receiving buys, so they're not being covered. But that means we get to scout out some of these gems. So we're going to start with my personal bias, Daniel Barrish with the black pieces, a South African, a FIDE master, against Grandmaster Raunak Sadhwani from India. So FIDE master, Grandmaster, complete balance. South African with the black pieces. Sadhwani plays e4, we get c6. So not even just South African, but playing one of the defenses in my repertoire, a Karakan defense. d4, d5, and e5, an advanced Kara. We get c5, this horrible line that I hate when I have to face it with the white pieces. Knight to f3, c takes d4, which is not a common move, really. But knight takes d4, knight to c6, and we capture immediately, and we play bishop to d3. e6, short castles, a5, knight d2, bishop to a6, and now queen e2. Bishop takes d3, pawn takes d3, potentially readying to secure your center with d4. And here Daniel makes a slight mistake. He plays a4. A little bit premature, not allowing the knight to go to b3, but now perhaps allowing the knight to go to f3. And after knight to e7, you can play bishop to e3, knight to f5, yes, but now I can play rook ac1, targeting your weaknesses because you never got your bishop out. So I'm happy if you take this. If you take my knight, my bishop, it's fine. Knight takes e3, f takes e3. That's what happens in the game. Important move here. It looks stupid to double your pawns, but you're opening your f-file for the rook. So that is important. So Daniel might come under a bit of attack. He plays c5. We get e4, bishop to e7, capture once in the center, and now play this move d4. And Daniel is slightly better, almost -1. He's better against the Grandmaster. Remember, he's a FIDE master. We get c4, knight d2, short castles, and now 2 mistakes. Not 1, but 2. Rook to c2, and after queen to b6, queen e3. And Daniel Barrish, the FIDE master, 2292. Almost a 300 rating point discrepancy against Raunak Sadhwani. Actually, almost 400 points. Is better. Only in the World Cup. He must find either queen g6 or a3. His only winning moves. He finds queen g6. Rook cc1. And now bishop to g5, which is not quite correct. The engine prefers a3. It thinks it's important because you're either going to force them to push, or you're going to be able to create, a weakness. Bishop g5 is maybe the wrong way. Queen to c3, and now queen trade. And the advantage is slipping. Queen takes d3, pawn takes d3. You do have a passed pawn, but it's really hard to defend. The knight is hanging as well. Rook fd1, bishop to e3 check, and you pick up this. But this might have been the wrong way to do it, and now you get rook b1, bishop takes e5. You're up 2 pawns, but they're not really that great in terms of what the pawns are. Knight to f3, bishop to f6. You lose 1, and as much as you try to defend, you will probably lose the other one as white begins their counterplay, and it just heads to a draw. Yeah, this is going to take some winning. In fact, it's going to take winning for white because white's got this beautiful pass pawn. And while black does have a 3-on-2, it's on the king's side. The kings will get in the way. Rook takes b5. We trade off a set of rooks, and there's not much to be said here, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel missed his chance. He was better. He will have another game tomorrow to try and win and knock out his opponent. But, there's not much more to be said. It was a rook game. They got here, And they tried. They did play this out, but there was not much to be had. And after king to f5, the players agreed on a draw. But oh boy, are things just getting spicy. The next game I have for you ended in less than 20 moves. In less than 20 moves, this game is over. You have, with the black pieces, Yagiz Erdogmus from Turkey, the youngest grandmaster in the world, 2645 rating, against a candidate master from, what's that flag? Libya. Oh, sorry, Libya. His opponent is from Libya, 1970. I think he's the lowest rated player in the section, or one of them. Candidate master. So Yagiz Kaan should be dominating. We get e4 and e6 of French defense. All my favorite openings were on display. d4, d5. E takes d5, e takes d5. The most boring version of the French. How is this game going to end in less than 20 moves from here? It's the exchange French, for crying out loud. Bishop to d3. Knight c6, c3. Bishop to d6, h3. h3 maybe not the most accurate move, but it's a move that makes sense. Knight g to e7. No. Surely not. You're a candidate master. Why are you playing queen to f3? I don't understand. Short castles. Knight e2. You're just asking for your queen to get trapped. Knight g6. And now h4. Rook e8. And g3. Loses on the spot. Why? Why does this lose? It loses to the most, I don't want to say the most insane move, because we're about to see a game that's got like 5 of these. But it loses to the brilliant move, Knight c e5. A move that looks impossible. You must take it, and the whole idea is Knight takes e5, and it's a fork. And not only is it a fork, your entire position is about to collapse. Because you get queen takes d5. I play bishop to e6. Hit the queen. f5. Chase the queen back to e3. And now bishop to d5. You must move your rook. King to f1 is played. You might say, wait, why don't they save the rook? Why don't they play like rook to g1? Because of this. I think it's this. Check. Knight f3 check. I think. Just wins on the spot. Yeah, king d1, rook takes e3. And obviously you can sack your queen, but then you're not helping yourself. So king f1 is played to get out of this check, so you have to sacrifice the rook. Bishop takes h1. Now we get bishop takes f5. Bishop to c5. And now the game is completely lost. Queen g5 allows mate in 1. 17 move demolition. 17 moves. Literally, I can play the whole game on speed dial. It was an exchange French. And then the player with the white pieces lost their mind. Played h3 and queen f3, knight e2, h4, and then g3. And lost to the most, I don't want to say the most insane, but knight cd5. Got their queen kicked around a couple of times. And then walked into a fork, and the king was just not safe. Had to give up the rook, and then to try to keep their queen on the board, hung mate in 1. What a game. What a game. To watch that unfold was just simply ridiculous. It was just simply ridiculous. The next game, though... is even more ridiculous. Even more ridiculous. With the white pieces, we have Tran from South Korea. And with the black pieces, we have Salem Saleh from the United Arab Emirates. Salem Saleh, a well-known grandmaster. And he's playing an IM from South Korea. We have e4 and we have c5. A Sicilian defense. Knight to f3 and d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4. We have got knight to f6, knight to c3, and a6. I do believe this might be a knight of variation. I can't It's late. I can't remember if this is exactly the night of, but we have h3, e6, and g4. Just go, go, go. This is how you play, Sicilian positions. We have bishop to e7, g4, knight jumps back, bishop to g2, knight to c6, h4, short castles, b3, rook e8, bishop to b2. I know it says white's better, right? Just look at this position. Black is so passive, it's not even funny. White's got all their pieces developed, their minor pieces. This bishop is a stoner, can't move, literally. This knight can only really go this way, or I suppose into the center. This bishop is staring into a brick wall. So we've got a bishop to f8, queen d2, knight takes d4, which is a beautiful move, just by the way. Knight takes d4. You have to play queen takes d4, and now you get b5. You might say, wait, what? Trade, and then here. And we're going to get this bishop out this way. So we get long castles, which is very bold. Knight comes out here. Now you might be threatening to sacrifice, but that was why the beautiful move bishop to f8 was possible, because you're always protecting g7. So now king slides over, rook slides over, and now we have f4. And here is where the brilliance of Salem Saleh begins to shine. He firstly plays the only move that holds for black, and that is to play queen to b6, inviting a queen trade. The queen trade is declined with queen to d2, and now he plays knight to c5, so his pieces begin to activate. We play f5 to try and keep marching on the black king's door, but black's just in time with b4, forcing the knight to the outside, and now we get this trade. The only move, again, holding any sort of hope for the black pieces. We now get bishop to c6, g6, white is right there, f takes g6, f takes g6, and now bishop takes a4. We ignore this, that's fine, we ignore it for now. We are cracking in and opening the doors. Rook to c1, now inaccuracy here, h takes g6, and white is winning for one move only, and that is h5. White's actually breaking through. White is actually breaking through. The international master, 20 minutes down on the clock, 2 points down on material, is breaking through to the black castle king, and it is bad news for Salem Saleh. G takes h5, rook takes h5, and now rook to c3. The only winning move, as you can see on screen, is bishop to h3. Bishop to h3, you are threatening the pawn, but you're also threatening a lot of nasty ideas. The engine thinks you can hold here with queen to c7, but there are humorous amounts of problems. Also, this rook is just completely hanging, just by the way. But instead of that, queen to g5 was played. Salem Saleh here has some brilliant moves at his disposal. He misses it once. He plays queen to e3, offering a queen trade. Queen to h4 is played, threatening a humorous amount of mates. And here, Salem Saleh just buckled up and proceeds to play 4 brilliant moves in the span of 5 moves. And 3 of them come now. He starts with bishop takes c2. It looks silly because it looks like after all this, you are simply losing a rook. You are not, because there is queen e2 check, which at least picks up the bishop. But if, for example, king to b1, you have queen d3 check, king to c1, and now you have rook to c8, and it's mate in 4. So you cannot go down that line. What we get is king to a1, and now again bishop to d3. Brilliant, because this is hanging and there are checks coming in. Instead of all of that, rook to e1 is played. And now again, only move on to queen. You have to sacrifice the queen. Rook e to c8. You can take the queen. I don't care, because rook to c1 is mate in 3. Bishop takes c1, rook takes c1, king to b2, and rook b1 mate. The pawn cutting off your escape. So you cannot take the queen. Here rook to h8 was played. And now king f7, the only move. Stops the brilliant moves because the stuff isn't hanging, it's forced. Bishop takes c3. We do decide to take the rook. And rook takes c3. Because once again, you cannot take the queen. Because this is still mate. Queen to h5 check. King e7. Not brilliant, but still perfect. Queen to h4 check. King d7. Queen to h1. And rook c1 check. It was the final move of the game. Why was it the final move? Because when you take here, I will simply mate you with queen to d4. Check. And there is no escape for the white king. Bishop takes c2. Bishop d3. Rook ec8. And rook takes c3. The remaining two games might be boring by comparison, but I still find them very, very interesting. Because you have the next game, which is played by the Messi of chess, as he's being dubbed. I don't know if that's a lot of pressure. I mean, Messi won a World Cup. Faustino Oro, the youngest player in the section, our international master, could become a grandmaster feasibly if he gets to a certain round in this tournament, I believe. I think if he gets to like the 6th or 7th round, he'll become a grandmaster. And he could break the record against Ante Brkic, Croatian player. Faustino's got the black pieces. We get e4, c6, so another Caro-Kann defense, but this time a more classical line with bishop to f5 and knight to f3. The short variation, we get c3, knight e7, bishop to e2, knight g6, a4, f6, which is a pawn break, h4, h5, bishop to d3, f takes e5. We get this trade and the knight grabbing in the center. And we get this interesting pawn structure, which I've never really seen before, but maybe that's because I don't know enough theory. The players are down a little bit on time, but I still imagine this position was relatively simple to reach. I do worry for the black king, going short or long. I think black is the one that's in danger a little bit. We get knight to d7, which targets the pawn. Bishop to f4 defends it, and now knight to c5. Just jumping the knight forward. You could get to, excuse me. You could get to e4, but you might get kicked. So you got to weigh the risks. So we start with queen to c2, forcing g6. Knight d2, and now look at that, d4, cracking in the center. We take once, queen takes, hits the bishop, bishop retreats. And just by the way, you don't want to take this. You really don't want to take that. It's not worth it because either long castles or short castles is +1 for white. Long castles is probably better because you're getting the rook on the file and then this other rook is coming and then you've got problems because you've not castled. So that is your huge problem. So you cannot take that pawn. So you can slide your queen out the way, invite a queen trade, which we get, and now king to e2. Knight b4. You might be tempted to grab pawns. Again, you're going to get trapped because I think rook b1 just traps the knight because you can't escape. So you've got to be careful. So knight to b4, knight to c4, king to f7. So nobody castling in this game. Knight jumps out. We push it forward. And now the bishop finally develops. We secure everything. And now we're heading for an endgame. We trade off one set of rooks. We don't trade the bishops, but we repeat moves with the bishops. And Faustino Oro holds a comfortable draw with the black pieces, and we'll go again tomorrow with the white ones. That's just going to happen. You're going to try and push with white. That's just the fact. You're going to try and hold with black, and you're going to try and push with white, which is what the person in our next game did. And it may have worked, it may have also backfired. The last game I have for you is Divya Deshmukh. She has the white pieces. She's the only female playing in the whole tournament. And she's playing a Greek player, Stamistas. I can't pronounce his last name, I do apologize. She's now a newly minted Grandmaster after winning the FIDE Women's World Cup. So trying to emulate that success in the men's. She plays d4, the first d4 game, I think, of the video. Knight to f6, c4, e6, and we get a Nimso-Indian defense. You don't allow the Nimso without having something prepped. So she plays e3, short castles, and now a3. We get this trade, and then d6 comes. A d6 is always an interesting move. You can play d5, but I suppose there are some subtle differences. We get knight to e2, c5, knight to g3, knight to c6. And there are some lines where you play f3 as well. You don't always want to take this because you end up with double isolated pawns, so you'd rather be taken and undouble, but that your opponents aren't always as forgiving. So we get bishop to e2, b6, short castles, the bishop coming out. This is very common. You're trying to target this. It can be a weakness. e4 comes now, knight to a5, double targeting it, and you simply play f4. We get c takes d4, pawn takes d4, and now bishop takes c4. We get this trade. So, Divya's down a pawn. But she's looking for compensation. And she kind of has it. Her pieces are a little bit more active. She's got really good central space. Her rook is going to have an open file. The bishop controls the knight, so the knight can come forward. And the queen will be coming out in just a moment. So she starts with f5. e5 now. Now you've got to really evaluate, do you lock everything up, but then you leave this as a weakness? Do you trade, but then there could be a queen trade coming? Your bishop, while yes, stopping this knight coming forward, still needs to move at some point. So she plays queen e2, but now b5, defending the knight. The knight's just planted there now. D takes e5 is a mistake. Shouldn't have taken, because pawn takes e5. Yes, you can play rook to b1 or rook to b8. King slides over, so there's no, nasty checks that come this way, because you might want to throw more pawns forward. h6, rook b3, rook b6, a4. No. This is not what you want. Clever idea. If you takes, then you start with the rook trade, and then you take the knight. But there's a6, which is not the best move. The engine is quite a savage. Just by the way, it says take this. The engine says just take it. Because we're not scared of... Would you start with rook takes? Yeah, you would. No, the engine wants rook d3, targeting the queen. Because if you start with the rook trade, then the knight jumps back. And then you're just up a pawn. Defended, by the way, as well. And obviously if you take this, then you lose your rook. Crazy. So you can simply take it. But a6 is played. We take once. And now you can evaluate sacking the queen for the knight to get the rook. But the rook is still defended. So we play bishop to e3. Just take. Now there's no tactics. The rook is hit. But now we can play queen to d6. Rook to c1. And rook to d8. And now nasty back rank problems are threatened. So you've got to play h3. But now queen d4. Do you trade queens? Yes. But in doing so, you invite yourself a huge problem that you yourself caused. And it is quite clear that Divya is no longer in control of this game. She does play rook to c5 to try and target black's own weaknesses. But loses this. She takes. And you might say, wait, hang on. In this problem? It is. She loses the knight. Rook takes g3, we get this trade, and now you've got a problem, because this is a passed pawn, and this pawn is going into nothing. Rook to b7, we play rook to a5, h5. Here, and g6, and you're never mating the king. King gets back, king gets out, and the pawn just keeps going. And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing Divya can do. So she goes down. And those are all the games I have for you. It would be foolish of me to try and read you all the results, but scroll through them yourself. There was some crazy stuff. Obviously, lots of Grandmasters got buys. I think there were 50 of them that got buys. So they will come in the next round. We've still got tomorrow, where these players play again. Daniel could do well. Faustino could do well. They get the white pieces tomorrow, so we'll see what they're about. Salem Saleh, Yagiz Kaan, they just have to finish off their matches. They currently lead 1-0. They're going to have, I think, the white pieces. So they could win 2-love, or at least, make a quick draw, and they will be fine. But this was so exciting. I love this so much. Tell me, what was your favorite game of the day in the comments? What was your favorite game of the day, even if I didn't cover it? And tell me what players you want me to cover. I'm open to suggestions. I covered the players I thought people would like to see. And I covered some biased players as well. Cheers.